Let's start with a small but explosive question. What if the man we've spent 60 years calling a hero isn't actually heroic enough for the world we live in now? I know. That sentence alone can make lifelong readers flinch. But Atticus Finch has become something bigger than a character. He's a symbol, a myth, a moral compass polished so often we've stopped asking if it still points north. So, today, we're going to sit with the uncomfortable possibility that Atticus is both admirable and flawed, both timeless and outdated, both a model of empathy and a product of limits we can no longer ignore. When we first meet Atticus in To Kill a Mockingbird, he feels like the parent everyone wishes they had. Calm, patient, unshakably good. He teaches his children not through lectures, but through small, gentle acts of integrity. He defends Tom Robinson not because he thinks he can win, but because he believes every person deserves a fair trial. And when the town turns on him, he remains still, dignified, collected. That quiet dignity is powerful, but it is also the center of today's debate. Modern critics argue that Atticus represents a kind of soft resistance, the kind of moral stance that comforts the privileged without threatening the system that created the injustice in the first place. And the question rising in classrooms, libraries, and reading groups across the world is simple. Is quiet goodness enough? Let's look closely. Atticus teaches Scout to step into another person's skin. A beautiful lesson. But empathy doesn't save Tom Robinson. It doesn't change the minds of the men who form the jury. It doesn't even protect Atticus from the spit in his face or the threats thrown at his children. Empathy, in Maycomb, is a seed planted in rock. It grows inside the Finch home, but struggles to break the ground of the world outside. And this is where the disagreement begins. Some readers argue that Atticus is heroic precisely because he stands in that wind, knowing it will knock him down. He refuses to give up. He refuses to speak with hatred. He chooses the harder path of staying calm when he could explode. He models a humanism so rare it almost feels old-fashioned. But others say that approach no longer matches the scale of the problem. That being polite in the face of cruelty is not courage. That kindness without confrontation becomes a shield for injustice. That Atticus's refusal to push harder, louder, or more directly allows the system to remain intact. And the truth is, both readings have weight. Because Atticus is not a superhero. He's not a revolutionary. He doesn't burn anything down. He doesn't shake Maycomb's foundations. He doesn't even try to change the trial's outcome after the verdict falls. His strength lies in endurance, not disruption. And depending on who you are, depending on the history you carry, that can look noble or frustrating. Let's talk about race for a moment, because To Kill a Mockingbird cannot be separated from it. For many Black readers and scholars, the problem isn't Atticus himself. It's the way the story uses him. Tom Robinson is the one whose life is destroyed. He's the one who faces the full cruelty of the system. But the emotional focus lands on Atticus's disappointment, Atticus's sorrow, Atticus's burden. The heroism of a white lawyer becomes the emotional center of a story built on Black suffering. And that makes some readers ask, why do we keep praising the man who walks away alive, rather than the man who never had a chance? This doesn't make Atticus a villain. It simply reveals the limitations of a story written from a specific time, a specific place, and a specific lens. Atticus is extraordinary within Maycomb, but Maycomb's moral bar is buried deep in the ground. So where does that leave us? Maybe Atticus isn't a hero in the grand, modern sense. Maybe he isn't a model for dismantling injustice in a world that demands louder voices, stronger actions, and more direct confrontation. Maybe his type of goodness, quiet, composed, almost painfully patient, is not enough for today. But maybe that doesn't erase his worth. Maybe Atticus represents the foundation, not the ceiling. A first step, not a final answer. A moral baseline that says, be decent, seek fairness, protect the vulnerable. Even if the world needs more than that to actually change. And perhaps the reason we're still talking about him in 2025 is because Atticus opens the door to a harder conversation about the distance between moral intention and moral impact, between who we want to be and what the world truly needs. So is Atticus still a hero? My answer is this. He's heroic for the time he lived in, inspiring for the child who first reads him, comforting for adults who believe goodness should be calm, but incomplete for the world we inhabit now. And maybe the courage we need today is the courage to let our heroes be human, flawed, beautiful, insufficient, and still worth learning from. If you'd like the full breakdown, including the deeper philosophical layers, critical history, social debates, and what this reevaluation means for modern readers, the complete video essay is waiting for you, along with a downloadable PDF packed with insights, quotes, and extended analysis. I'll see you there.